spoke to somebody in Southend.
Yeah.
The PCSO got in touch.
Right.
Not an officer. And he just said, we're looking into it. It's a dying death. It's starting up again. I don't want to waste an hour at 11 o'clock at night phoning you up, because by the time you get the call, put it out to a team, they will have gone. Everybody said, oh, the amount of crime is dropping because it is not being reported because people don't want to hang on for that long.
Yeah.
You say there's 73% reduction in crime in Rochford. Is that because people aren't reporting it because they can't be bothered?
We don't know, do we?
Well, we do know a bit because we don't just take the reporting figures. We also do surveys. We use external people to do surveys as well. So we are pretty confident that when we give you those figures, those are pretty accurate. We get inspected on them, so Manchester's Inspection across the Fire Rescue Service inspectors on the accuracy of our data, and they're telling us at the moment that we are within about 5% accuracy. So I'm not simply saying it's just what's reported. We wouldn't rely on that because we know exactly the risk that you are describing there. One of the things we've had to be very good on is encouraging reporting. Because if it's not reported, we know nothing. I understand the frustration that you are describing, but what the Chief Inspector was trying to describe to you was, it's not the response to the particular incident which really makes a difference. The stuff which has really made a difference is understanding the patterns of behaviour. We know about Temple Farm in Southend. I've had it reported to me before. The more reports we have about it, the more we know what time of day. We know who the people are. Being able to prove something is different from knowing who they are. Yeah. But if we have the reports, we can actually go to their homes, we can deal with them.
But your call centre people say, go and get the registration numbers. I'm 82. Am I going to go out at night and
No,
get the
you're not.
registration numbers?
No.
Get proof, they say. That's the call centre staff. That's what they're telling me and everybody else.
Right.
Is that right?
So the more information you can give them, the more likely it is that we will have a successful planned intervention that solves the problem. They shouldn't be saying, probably what you're hearing, but what they shouldn't be saying is, unless you give us the registration numbers, we will do nothing. What they should be saying is, please give us as much information as you can. If you get the registration numbers, that would really help because it will help us identify them. They should be saying, we will use the information that you give us to plan what we're going to do next. What you're probably hearing is, if you don't give us a registration number, we're not coming, which isn't the right message.
That is the impression that they are giving.
Right.
With response, I live in Sutton Road. The other week, there were 11 burglaries into garden sheds and things like that. Everybody reported it. Have we seen anybody? No. Nobody's come out to see anybody. Another resident has found somebody in his house. He reported it. Has he seen anybody or heard anything? No. It is complete lack of staffing coming back to people when they are affected.
So someone actually had someone in their house
Yes.
and got no response. That is not
No,
a service that we should be providing.
You phone 999
Yeah.
and they say, oh,
Quite right.
is he still there? No, he's got into a car. Here's the registration number. He's heard nothing.
I mean, that's not what we're trying to do, is it?
No, and that would be certainly out of the norm. The Chief is very clear that our target for attending dwelling burglaries, as you've just described by the sounds of it, is 100%. The Chief has said we will attend every dwelling burglary. And for the south of the county, when I last saw it, I think we were at something like a 99.7% attendance rate of dwelling burglaries. So we're getting to the vast majority. There's always going to be an anomaly, but that's generally if the residents on holiday or something we can't get access or whatever it might be. So that would be very concerning for me if they've found someone in their house and that they've not had police attendance at all. I would urge you to speak to them and get them to chase it up and raise a complaint if necessary if they're not getting the answers they need, because we absolutely should be attending that.
Can I just ask, was that also on Sutton Road?
Yes.
So,
Temple Gate Cottages.
Sorry?
Temple Gate Cottages.
Templegate Cottages. Okay. I think that's probably something we need to do just about triggering.
The problem is, the right on the border between Rochford, Castle Point and South End regions.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. That shouldn't be a problem, but I understand what you're saying. I think we probably should put a bit of trigger around that and work out if there has been a number of things.
Do you happen to know what date that was off the top of your head?
No, I'll find out.
If you can let me know, that just help me search for that incident, that's all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure I'm fine, thanks. If you'll indulge me, I've got a few questions from residents that they've asked me to put forward. So, across the last year in Hockley and Hawkpool, we've had probably a disproportionate amount of racist graffiti, some of it extremely offensive. And whilst the council have been brilliant at getting it cleared in what I would class as rapid time, it doesn't affect the impact that it has on the thousands of people that have seen it in the interim and when people are sharing it online. And they're sharing it online in disgust, but it's more traction. Yeah. So I just would like to understand, is something going on to investigate these crimes? Because I know essentially they're antisocial behaviour, they're defacing public property, it's often on bus stops, trees, there's been a problem, benches, but it is essentially, in my opinion, a hate crime as well, and it's causing a lot of upset and a lot of uncertainty. It's what is essentially a village area. There's been a lot of it. So that was the first point that I've been asked to raise.
Do you want to give us all three at once, maybe, if you've got a set? Just
well, it might be best to do one at a time if you don't. Just so that.
Stop me forgetting it.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Over to you.
So fully aware of that problem. Lots of work has been going on with it, and we've been with the council around exploring different sort of techniques, maybe some covert type stuff to try and identify it. We've been working with the local schools because we've identified that a lot of it is on a sort of well-known route that kids take to the local school, trying to identify people. We're patrolling around those open spaces where the graffiti most probably is popping up. There's no real positive news on it at the moment, unfortunately, but it is ongoing. We've got Operation Green Space running throughout the summer, which is patrolling parks and open spaces, and the area where the graffiti is popping up is included within those patrols. So yes, we're aware of it. We are doing lots to try and identify people, and we'll continue to do so. But nothing solid yet in terms of identifying suspects, unfortunately. But we'll continue to work together and explore different sort of tactics that we might be able to use. But completely accept that concerning causes within the community, and absolutely right.
Thank you.
I think Izzy would just like to say a couple of words.
Thank you. It has gone through to us, and we are doing a lot of work kind of together. Something else I'll say is there's going to be people in the community that have seen it and things like that. So Crime Stoppers, we were talking about reporting earlier. Crime Stoppers is completely anonymous. Please report through Crime Stoppers because it builds that intel picture. And also letting the council know and reporting to the council. Because we've obviously got a community safety partnership, and we can build that into our priorities. Our priorities are kind of protecting and promotion of our work and protecting the environment and the community. And this falls so far into that. So when we know that these things happening, we obviously know through the police, but when we know that they're really happening, we can kind of sit down as a partnership and say, right, what resource can we put into here as well? So it's just really championing the reporting side of it and kind of reporting to it to kind of everyone, because we're interested, we want to know, and we're not in the communities necessarily, so it's kind of like a partnership between us and the communities, in that if you guys don't report, because I talk to people and people say, oh, I know this and I know that, and I'm like, did you tell anyone? They're like, no, not I, because it's really pointless. And I'm like, oh, but we could have done A, B, C, D, E, we go to all of these things. So yeah, it is something that we are aware about. We're working kind of very closely with.
Thank you. Thank you. So another thing is, again, this is on crime. So I've spoken to you about this before, Roger, but vehicle theft in the area. feels like at an all-time high. And yes, I know the advice is obviously residents taking precautions themselves, steering locks, pedal locks, hiding your keys in the pockets and whatnot. But is there anything more the police can do? I recognise you've been doing stops and there's been some positive actions because your social media gives a real good update, but it doesn't seem to be getting any better, and it's all sorts of cars now, not just luxury ones.
We can both have a go at this.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said on this, to be fair. And I think you're right in your sort of assertion that it's at an all-time high. It is. It's a real problem. There's lots of different techniques, as you say, lots of different vehicles being targeted for various reasons, lots of different groups involved in the theft of motor vehicles. What I would say is, in this district, we're probably more active at tackling the problem than anywhere else in the force, I believe. We were the sort of first area to start treating it the same way we treat organised crime groups who are supplying drugs and county lines and stuff. So we've been doing lots of covert investigation work behind the scenes, trying to identify the groups that are, because this is organised crime, these are businesses, they're nicking them in bulk, and they're either being chopped up and made into what looks like jig cars or shipped out the country. So locally, I've got my Operation Falcon team who, as I say, historically, they were made to tackle drugs lines within the district. They are now focusing a lot of their time on just identifying the people responsible for this stuff. And actually today, they've done a strike day this morning, which they are still working on suspects that they've arrested today as we speak in custody. We are really confident from the analytical work and some of the covert investigation techniques they did before today. Our analysts estimated that we're likely to charge this group of around 90 offences. So there's some real good work, and as I say, they'll be working long into the night. They'll probably be doing 24-hour shifts today to try and get this home and get them remanded and into prison until they can go to court. And this is, I think, the fourth strike day we've done since I set them working on it at the end of last year. So we've got lots of people who are stealing them in prison now, awaiting trial. And we are likely to start seeing those results filter through now and see just how seriously the sort of justice system is taking it in terms of when they do dish out sentences. Because I'm absolutely confident that they will get convictions. The question is, what is the sentence? But we are seeing a turn in the tide as well. I've got some stats here. So I chair an independent advisory group. I attend an independent advisory group with local residents every 6 weeks. And I always prepare a load of stats for them, and I've got them in my book because we met last Monday. So theft of motor vehicle for Rochford, for the year to date, this was a week old now, these stats, but 53.6% rise in theft of motor vehicle. A few months back, that was something like 120% year on year. So for the last 3 months, we've actually only seen a 5.2% rise compared to the same 3 months the year before. So actually there's real tangible signs that we're turning the tide, and this is one area where we can say we're quite comfortable people are reporting this. You don't have your car in to not report it. So we can be confident in the work we're doing is working, and we'll continue to do that, and word will get around these criminal groups that we're not a soft touch. And on top of the local picture, we've got our Kent and Essex Serious Crime Directorate also working on it on a county-wide scale, and working with the Met Police and other bordering forces for those even bigger sort of crime groups. And again, they did a strike day 2 weeks ago, I think, where they've arrested a load of people, charged and remanded with various offences. So there's loads going on, and the community team are doing a lot of preventative work. As you say, we're putting comms out, we're trying to give away Faraday pouches, which the CSP have funded to people to try and stop that sort of key relay hijacking, if you like. So yeah, loads going on, but it does feel like it's happening, and it is happening every day. But I'm really confident you'll start to feel that less and less, and as we see these good news stories come through, because that's key as well. I think the media team were out with the guys when they did the strike today. They'll pull something together to get out and share as wide as we can to show people actually we are doing something about it, and there is some positive enforcement happening. So that's another key part. So as much as you're seeing this horrible stuff and people sharing it on local groups as well, which does help us, to be fair, because we found one recently, a Land Rover in Rochford, that was stolen we picked it up from social media and shared it, and we managed to get it recovered in a neighbouring street. So yeah, loads going on. It is a problem. It's going to be a problem for a while because it's not just one person. This isn't we nick one person and it stops. But the work's going on.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's just important to say that Jim's Bedrock is not alone in fighting this in this corner of Essex. I mean, but you're absolutely right. This corner of Essex was actually one of the worst hit parts of the country. So talking to Jaguar Land Rover, who were at the epicentre of the storm, as you might say, they really admire what Essex Police have been doing. They've been doing it. I've been up to Coventry and sat down with them and said, what can we do together? They are retrofitting better security to all of their models back to 2017.
Yeah.
They're spending £15 million on doing it. That's a really important step. We're talking to Ford, we're talking to Mercedes, we're talking to Toyota, we're talking to the insurers. Yeah. Around my neck of the woods, I live in Rochford way, it's now costing you about £8,000 a year to insure a Range Rover. That is ridiculous money. A friend of mine had his Range Rover stolen off the drive. It was recovered in Mombasa on an international drugs raid in which Essex Police were involved. Yeah, the high-end vehicles are being shipped out via the ports to Jebel Ali, to the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, sold into Africa. It's a very lucrative trade. It is absolutely organised crime. We set up a serious violence stolen vehicle intelligence unit this time last year to get the intelligence together, which showed that there was a lot that needed doing. So about 4 months ago now, we set up a serious crime directorate unit, very much focused at working internationally as well as working with you guys locally to try and make sure that we can actually get on top of this. Together, the local police, the intelligence unit, the serious crime directorate, I think so far they've recovered about 660 vehicles, about £14 million worth of cars. But obviously recovering vehicles is one thing. We need to stop it happening. It is now part of the force plan. The Chief Constable made it part of this year's action plan for Essex Police. That was back in April. So yeah, there's a very serious concentration of effort. Yes, you're right that people can do stuff themselves. Steering knobs are a help, but probably the best bits are those little bollards you can put into your drive and stand up behind. No good if you park on the street though. But if you do park on a drive, you can put them behind. They are pretty effective at stopping a vehicle being stolen. You can also get the sleeping keys, because most of this is done with passive entry vehicles. So when you've got a key, you don't need to press a button on. It's always signaling. If you can get a sleeping battery, which you can put it in your key fob, when you put it down, even for 5 minutes, it stops signaling, so it can no longer be read. If you've got a vehicle you're worried about, then getting one of those is a very good idea.
Thank you.
Is it
Very
that?
helpful. Yeah, really positive to hear that there's lots going on. It feels like there's lots going on, but obviously it's good to hear some of the backstory to it as well.
County-wide, so that the figures that Paul was giving you for locally, the percentage increase has gone down. Actually, county-wide, it's now on a declining trend.
Right.
But just the increase was so steep.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a couple more things, I'll try and be quick. And it sort of ties into this. So some parishes across the district employ private security firms. And the question is often asked, is that positive or not? And is the intelligence, and you may not be able to answer this because of commercial reasons and whatnot, but are they providing the police with intelligence? Because obviously they only have a certain amount of power or control to do anything. And actually I see them more as an information gathering service and fill that into the police. Is that happening? Are you getting the information and are you able to act on it?
So from speaking to my community policing team, they do speak, I can't remember the company name now that you're referring to who operate locally.
There's probably more than one, but there's one that I know of.
There's one specific one I'm aware of, but yes, they do have sort of lines of communication, they do feed intelligence in. in terms of how useful that is will depend very, very much on what it is, you know, and whether it plays into any other intelligence that helps to build a picture up around a certain thing. You know, I don't think it's my place to say whether it's worth people doing that. Of course, that's a decision for local communities and residents, but
I can. So I can, if only because where I live, we have exactly the phone we use is my local bobby, and yeah, it's actually a voluntary scheme. Households can sign up to it. I don't sign up to it, not because I don't like them, and I think they're kind of in the nice to have category. They provide reassurance. People find it nice to have, and if you're arriving at Shenfield Station late at night, and you can actually, if you are a subscriber, you can text them and say, please pick me up from the station, I feel unsafe, and they'll take you home. That's a good scheme, isn't it, really? But it's actually costing as much as Essex Police does per household. So I would much rather have the additional money flowing into Essex Police. So if your parish council is feeling flush, it is definitely more effective in terms of stopping crime to have the police act on your behalf. I've got nothing against the private security firms, but they are not as effective as police. So if you have the money, it's much better to sponsor a copper or indeed sponsor a PCSO.
Can I also comment on that? Sorry. So kind of mirroring what Roger said, they don't feed into us either. So I mean, we don't have any kind of dealings with them. So when parish councils, if you're having issues with antisocial behaviour, please come to us and let us know, kind of maybe prior to getting a private security firm in, because there might be things that we can help with, again, kind of funding that we can help with to alleviate some of the issues that you're feeling. Some of the ones in Rochford we've received complaints about from local residents because they've been heavy-handed, I think is probably a fair way, and it's not the way that we would deal with something, which is a bit more inclusive to, if there is antisocial behaviour and it's kind of kids hanging around and doing things they shouldn't be, or people doing things that they shouldn't be, the way that we would deal with it and gather that information and pass it into the police might be a bit more different, and it will be a bit more of a community focused way of dealing with it, rather than we don't like you, leave, which for some young people can be really kind of jarring. So please come and talk to us, because we want to be involved and we want to help. So thank you.
And it does end up being part of the partnership.
Yes.
I've got one more point, if I may.
Only one more.
Okay.
We're only
Well,
halfway through.
I can carry on,
Then we'll
but
go to the
just,
lady.
this is regarding fire. There's been, it feels like there's been, again, a number of incidents in the district recently, more so than previously. Now, I don't know if that's just because social media is having its fun in sharing things and highlighting things, but is there more of an issue with home and business fires within the district? And if there is there something educational that could be doing differently? What is the reason? Because there's certainly, not just locally, but certainly nationally, there feels like there's more of a problem at the moment with home and business fires.
I think fire calls in the Rochford, probably fire calls in the Rochford area have stabilised over the last few years, very similar patterns every year on year. So yeah, I don't think there's been an increase. I think it might be down to a point around social media and the spread of words a lot quicker than it has been in the past. We do a lot of fire prevention and protection work within the fire service, especially in this area as well. We have our local crews that go out and attend schools and visits. We have young fire setters, fire break schemes set up locally at Southend, for example. We've got fire cadets there as well. So yeah, we've got teams from the community area as well going up, putting smoke alarms up alongside our guys and girls at stations, doing home fire safety visits. So yeah, there's a lot of work that's going on, and yeah, we've got a fantastic team of prevention officers and protection officers that go out and do the work. They've had a big impact actually over the years, and obviously we want to get to the point where our protection and prevention teams are doing such a great job that our response teams aren't going out as much, and there has been an increase in that area. I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but
I have you here.
there you go. I'll pass you across the Rochester to the stats.
So I know that the county-wide stuff off the top of my head, which is a 20% reduction in fires over the last 4 years, but I'd actually kindly been provided by my colleague here with the figures give them a tag. The figures for Rochford district. So if you actually compare the first 6 months of this year with the equivalent period of last year, the number of fires is down, the number of road traffic collisions is down, only a little bit, only by one. The number of special services is down, but the total number of incidents is up, and that's because of false alarms.
Thank you.
Sorry, just the lady was
Also, it's regarding, is there any more plans to have another crack at recruiting some specials? Because the issue around parishes turning to private security is often parishes are willing to sponsor a special, or even a PCSO if that PCSO can be deployed in that particular parish. When the parish finds out that those avenues are frustrated because of lack of people around to be able to do that, it's then that they turn. The private security, I believe, isn't the people's first choice. It's what they turn to when you